and more. I don't know, I just appreciate this phrase so much, okay? Blossom is back. What's up, y'all? I'm back. The last 16 hours have been the most stressful time of my life in 2022. Now, obviously, there are two very big elephants, metaphorical elephants in the room that I have to address. The first one is the fact that I lost my account for like 12 hours and I didn't know if I was going to get it back, and I was going through an existential crisis and I was just going through the motions. And the second elephant is the fact that we also have a Tri-Series final going on in the same weekend this has decided to happen. Now, I am very tired, okay? When my account was hacked, it happened at the very end of the day. Like, I finished the stream for the tune-up, I did a 1 million pack opening stream on my Discord, and then it decided to, like, it was the last thing that happened, so I didn't get any sleep last night. I'm very tired. So today, I know there are two elephants in the room, but there's only going to be one elephant that I need to address. And I love you guys. We are going to talk about the finals because obviously there are questions that need to be answered for the finals. So welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Continental Competition carbon fiber. Now, it's a very confusing one. There are exactly 69 cars in here. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but there are a lot of requirements. First of all, BMW, and then it's Bentley, and then it's 4 to 5 seaters, and then it has to either be an SUV, coupe, or sedan, or, you know, saloon, and it has to be petrol. So no diesel, which cuts and alienates a lot of standard tire BMWs that a lot of people have max, including me. So it's a very interesting one. I've never seen a final where there's been so many different categories of requirements. Oh, and of course, no price cars, but that's to be expected. But anyway, if you guys haven't noticed already, I'm going to be reviewing the carbon fiber that you can open that will help you in the finals for the Peugeot 208 WRX. And as you know from this series, there are two different Tri-Series. The first one is me judging this pack in a general sense. Let's say that you already have the perfect hand for the 208, or the opposite. You have such a crappy hand for the 208 that you have no chance of winning it, but you have the gold lying around and you're just like, I kind of want to open this pack, but is the pack any good? Well, that's the point of the series. Today I'm going to answer if this pack is good to open in a general sense. So let's start rating the cars. Now, obviously, the trackpad on my mouse, is still broken, so I'm using the trackpad. So here are the ranks. We have Der Kaiser, Daily Driver, Frequent Provider, Random Rider, and Pernicious Ulcer being the worst. And of course, once we finish this tier list, which will go by pretty quickly because there's 69 cars, I will start talking about the Tri-Series final tier list, which is going to be, you know, the pack where the cars that you can get are geared towards how useful they are in the final and only the final, not in a general sense. But let us begin. Pernicious Ulcer, we got a lot. So let's just put in all the Bentleys. The Brooklyns is a Random Rider. That one's a little better. We can put that up. The Mulsanne's a little better as well because it handles a little better. Once again, all these cars are still incredibly heavy, okay? But that handles a little better, so I'm going to put it on the Random Rider. And then we have the Blue Train and Butter. Now, the Blue Train and Butter are going to be daily drivers because these are actually really strong British saloons. And the best thing about them is they're medium, they handle well, they have high top speeds, and the lowest 0 to 60s among all ultra Bentleys. Basically, what makes them special is that they're just the best ultra Bentleys based off their statistics. They're also the most expensive ultra Bentleys to use in terms of the RQ rating for ultra rare, but at least you're getting what you're paying for, and you can get value out of the Mulsanne and the Blue Train, which are essentially the same car, so they get the same rank. Next one is the Mulsanne Design Series. It's the same as the Bentley Mulsanne in terms of stat and weight and top speed and everything, so it's going to get the same rank as Random Rider. Now, I know a lot of people are going to give me stick for giving the Brooklyns, you know, Random Rider not a rank higher, but I've said this so many times in so many videos and so many reviews. I never get the chance of using the Brooklyns because whenever you feel like you need to use the Brooklyns, you're just going to use a Charger Daytona instead unless it's British only. But if it's British only, you still have the Lotus Carlton. So it's really tough, you know, to use the Bentley Brooklyns. It's hard to find a situation where that car is going to be really useful. Next one is going to be the extended wheelbase. That's going to be Pernicious Ulcer. The Walter Owen edition is going to be a Random Rider. And then with the BMW 328i Gran Turismo. Now that's also going to be a Random Rider. It's not a very good car in terms of statistics, but it is medium and it brings standard tires to the table. So it's definitely not the worst car ever, but it's still really bad. The next one is the BMW 335i. That is also going to be a pernicious ulcer. There are a lot of bad cars that you can get from this. I'm just going to be straight off the bat. I'm going to be 100 with you, okay? Next one is the BMW 435 Grand Coupe. Now, this one handles quite well. The MRA is relatively alright. I do have the spreadsheet open over here. It has 72 MRA. It's quite average for a BMW. I would say a lot of BMWs are around that 75, 70 range. So 72 is alright, but what makes it special is it handles quite well. The 0 to 60 is quite low, so it has the hybrid stats, but on top of that, it's also medium ground clearance, so that's why I'm giving it frequent provider. Next one is going to be the BMW 440i, and this one, I'm also going to put it in frequent provider, but it's a pretty weak one, I would say. For RQ62, I don't think that this is, a very good car. If this was RQ60, it'd be really, really good. It's kind of like me with the Bentley EXP all over again. But truly, like for 62, I don't think that this is the best car to use. The handling is okay. 0 to 60 is low. It's just that there are better cars out there with better handling. Next one are going to be, this one's going to be easy. It's Pernicious Ulcer, Pernicious Ulcer, and Pernicious Ulcer. I seriously do not know what is the point of having any of these rear-wheel drive standard cars. Like, at least the 328i has traction control and ABS, right? The 540i doesn't have traction. The other 540i, the RQ54, doesn't have traction. Oh wait, no, it does have traction control and ABS, but it has a much lower 0 to 60 than the 328. So they're just worse cars, and that's why I'm gonna put them in pernicious ulcer. Next one is the BMW 640i X-Drive. Now this one, I'm gonna give it like a very high frequent provider. Maybe some people might even argue it's a daily driver, and I wouldn't really like argue with that, but in my personal opinion, I think it's a high frequent provider instead of a low daily driver. Once again, it is 4-wheel drive and it has decent MRA. The main thing about this car is that it has decent MRA. It has 84.23 MRA, and it has that niche of being a 4-wheel drive and low ground clearance car, because when you think about it, most 4-wheel drive cars that aren't legendaries in top drives are either medium or high ground clearance if they are paired with performance tires, right? I mean, all surface speaks for itself. I don't think there is a single low ultra rare 4-wheel drive all surface tire car. But yeah, it's pretty rare to get 4-wheel drive and low ground clearance and performance tires for ultra rare. The only ones I can think of would be this, the RS200, and the Dodge Stealth. So it's a very niche category. It's strong in that regard. It's 84 MRA, but be cautious. The 0 to 60 is quite weak at 5.1 0 to 60, and it is a very heavy car, coming in at 1,900 kgs. Sheesh! Next one is the BMW 645Ci. This one, a lot of people think is actually a pernicious ulcer, and it might be, but I'm going to give it a low random rider because it has decent MRA, 83.86, and the 0 to 60 is not very strong for RQ52, but it's not incredibly weak. It is on the a bit on the weaker side, but it does have good MRA. Moving on is the BMW M3. Now this is a car that I absolutely love. It is 71 MRA. It's, like I said, it's decent or average for a BMW, but the stats don't lie, man. This thing is indeed a pernicious ulcer. As much as I love the E36 M3, is hot garbage. It feels good to be back. It was literally just 12 hours ago, or like 16 hours ago, 18 hours ago now, where I thought I've lost everything, and it just feels good. Even though I did not sleep at all last night, because how could you when your entire account is gone? How are you able to sleep? Even though I'm incredibly tired, I'm just really blessed that I'm still here making videos for y'all, and that all the videos that I've made in the past, all that hard work is still out there on the internet, and I really hope it stays that way, man. So praise Kanye. But anyway, moving on, because I'm not religious. I pray to Kanye West. Moving on, BMW M5. That is a pernicious ulcer as well. I'm going to move you over here. Next one now. I love this car so much. The E39 M5, bro. 76 MRI on this bad boy. It's a saloon. It's from the 90s. It even has traction control and ABS. But at the end of the day, as much as I love this car, it is a random rider. I really want to put it, like, the bias in me really wants to put it in frequent provider. But seriously, like, the handling isn't good enough. It's sub 80. The 0 to 60 is also like, it's okay, but like if you paired it with great MRA, it'd be a really good car. And I think back in the day, back in like 2017, 2018, the BMW M5, E39 M5 actually had like 88 MRA, something around those lines. But unfortunately, it got nerfed, and now it's sitting at 76, which is quite sad. It is still medium ground clearance, so that's a nice little like, I would say bonus for it. But when you think about it, compared to the 435, the 435 is exactly the same with one handling less, but one handling less, 3 RQ cheaper. You see what I mean? Oh, that was a hiccup. Moving on, BMW X5 4.4i. That is also going to be a pernicious ulcer. It's kind of like a Land Rover. Really, like, for an SUV to be higher in the ranks, in my opinion, it's got to handle better than 68, bro. All right, so moving on to epics now. We're going to start off with the Bentley Continental Flying Spur. That is going to be a pernicious ulcer. I mean, it's a pack of Bentleys and RQ19 BMWs. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of crap. Continental GT. Ooh, 69 IQ car. Where am I gonna put this? I genuinely think it's actually still a pernicious ulcer. You can get value out of the Continental GT if you max it, but like, why would you want to max that? It doesn't even have the super screen tag. Moving on is the Bentley Continental GT, the newer version with slightly better stats, much better 0 to 60. This one, it's a little better. I'll put it at random rider. Following that is the Bentley Continental GT Speed Coupe. Now this is the cream of the crop, and because of that, I'm actually gonna put it as the Kaiser. It is the best Bentley epic. This and the Flying Spur that is medium. Those two are like the best Bentley epics. You know, it's quite, you know, let's find the Bentley Flying Spur W12S right now, because these two epics are basically the epic equivalents of the Ultra Rares, the Blue Train and Butter. So yeah, top of the top, get the top of the top ranks. Moving on is the Bentley Continental Gt V8s. Now this one is going to be a frequent provider because once again, you know, it's better than the Continental, but it's worse than the Continental GT Speed Coupe, so it deserves to be somewhat in the middle. Moving on is the Bentley Flying Spur. That is a pernicious ulcer. Bentley Flying Spur V8s. Now this is actually also going to be a frequent provider. It brings decent handling to the table, and it's medium ground clearance, and it's 4-wheel drive, and it has a low 0 to 60 with a high top speed. Once again, no MRA, but that doesn't really matter because, you know, you're not going to put it on a drag, are you? Moving on is the Bentley Flying Spur W12, and once again, that is also going to be a frequent provider. A part of me wants to move the Continental GT V8s up to daily driver, and I feel like I should do that. It actually feels right. Moving on is the Bmw 1 Series M Coupe. Yeah, that's fused material. This is also fused material, and this is also fused material. Moving on is the BMW 750i. Now the 750i is an interesting car because it has that very cursed combination of rear-wheel drive standard tires, but it does have really good MRA at 85.97. The 0 to 60 is also relatively low, coming in at 4.5. I'm not going to get a lot of use out of it, but if you do need to use it in the end, you can get some value, and because of that, it's a frequent provider. Moving on is the BMW 750 Li. I always get Li and IL mixed up. Once again, it's a slightly worse version of the 750 that came in 2016. This is the 2009 version. MRA is still very, very strong, 90.33, but it just handles less. It has a worse 0 to 60, so it's going to go under random rider. Moving on is the Bmw M2 M240i. I'm going to put that as a random rider as well. The handling is just really, really weak for an epic, and that's all I can say. The M2 Competition, however, is a much better version, 87 handling, and that's going to go under daily driver. Now, these M2s are also, you know, surprisingly quite heavy. When you think about them, you think that they're going to weigh between 1,400, maybe 1,300. But no, the M2 Competition Delimited comes in at 1,625 kgs. A lot heavier than I thought it would be. Moving on is the Bmw M2 Delimited. I love this car. And once again, it's the middle ground. It's the middle ground of the M240i and the M2 Competition, so it's going to sit in between. Bmw M3 coming up next, and that is going to be pernicious ulcer. Oh my goodness. Look at these handlings, bro. 84. Bmw M3 CRT comes in at a random rider. It has a low 0 to 60, I will give it that. And the MRA on the M2 CRT is 83.37, which is on the higher end. But the handling, once again, 85, not good enough for RQ70 if you ask me. M3 CS is the next one. This one is definitely their Kaiser. This thing is basically everything you want in a BMW. Great MRA, 84.96. Amazing handling. It has the saloon tag and a low 0 to 60 to boot. It's also not a very heavy car, coming in at 1,660 kgs, which is relatively light for a BMW. In a general sense, it is considered heavy, but you know, for a BMW, it's quite light. M3 CSL. I want to put it as their Kaiser, but I feel like that's too much bias and too much hype. The M3 CSL definitely is a fantastic car, though. The main gimmick of the M3 CSL is how cheap it is to use, combined with 87 handling, combined yet again with medium ground clearance. So that's truly the combination that really sets it apart from everything else. The BMW M4, once again, a low 0 to 60, but pretty atrocious handling. But because the 0 to 60 is that low, I will give it a frequent provider, so a little higher than the M3 CRT. artsy. The MRA of the M4 is also pretty decent actually, 85.49, which was also Christmas collection, but I didn't even get to use it. BMW M5. Now this is a car that I used to own in top drives. 89 MRA, which is very strong, but once again, you get no handling. The 0 to 60 is relatively strong, but you know the top speed isn't very high. Imagine if that was like, if that had Bentley top speed, like it kept its 89 MRA, it kept its 4.5 0 to 60, it can keep the 80 handling if it wants to, but imagine if that car had 190 top speed. That would be a fantastic car. Like you can say that's 75, 76, and I wouldn't bat an eye, but unfortunately that isn't the case. Moving on is the BMW M5. A lot of these cars are literally just the same, you know, models, it's just that they come from different years. So it sounds like I'm repeating myself, which I kind of am, but I'm not really at the same time. It's also going to be a random rider. Decent MR in that bad boy, 82.45, but it used to be a lot better if you remember. BMW M6, that's a pretty strong one. The main thing about the BMW M6 is it's medium. In fact, because it is medium, I'm actually going to put it as a daily driver, because not only is it medium, it's one of the best medium 2006 cars as well. And also, you know, the stats are pretty good. Moving on is the BMW M6 3686. Once again, I'm also going to put that as daily driver. It also has an MRA of 80.75, which is not bad for a BMW. If it's, as long as it's in the 80s, it's actually not that bad. Moving on is the M6 Grand Coupe. That's going to be frequent provider because it's a slightly worse version, or actually it's a very much worse version of the M6. You know, the handling difference and the 0 to 60 difference. The M6 Grand Coupe might be medium. I don't think it is though. I genuinely do not. I think the handling is just that bad. The BMW M760 Li X-Drive V12. Ooh, this is a car that I would definitely put in frequent provider because it has atrocious handling. Okay, 79 handling is the same as the RQ that it has. There's, when you think about it, there are other 79 RQ epics out there that are capable of hitting 92 handling stock. I'm thinking about the FR500 Mustang, but a lot of them are usually like 88, 89 handling. 79 handling is abysmal, and it also only has 70 MRA, which doesn't make it very strong. Why I think it might be a little controversial though to put it under frequent provider is because of how well it's performing in the final. And I think one of the main reasons why it's performing so well is the track sets suit this car very, very well. If the track sets were anything different from what they were in the finals right now, I do not think the BMW M760 Li will shine as much as it is right now. But we'll get to the final part when we finish off this list. Moving on to SUVs now. X2 is going to be an Ulcer. X4 is an Ulcer. BMW X6 is going to be a frequent provider. And the BMW X3 M40i is going to be a daily driver. I think there's no questions over there. It's just slightly better cars through and through, and the worst cars get the worst ranks. And then we have the Bentegas. Oh boy! Yeah, you're both going under the worst rank. These two cars get destroyed by the two-tone Bentayga, which is the epic counterpart. And because of that, it is so incredibly embarrassing. The only time these two Bentaygas will shine if it's an off-road test bowl, and if it isn't an off-road test bowl, if it's any kind of drag, it's going to lose to the epic Bentayga. They are absolutely ulcers, man. Pain of my existence. They're tumors, if anything. The BMW Continental 24, however, has turned out to be a pretty good car. Decent handling for a Bentley, and actually really good MRA. 90 MRA. A Bentley with good MRA. I know. I'm actually going to give it to Kaiser. Alongside this is the, I think it's the Breitling edition. Nothing too special about this. I'm going to just give it frequent provider because the handling is not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not strong, but it is also, you know, four-wheel drive. So 86 with four-wheel drive for 80 handling. That's okay. Moving on is the Bentley Continental GT. Now this one, see, less handling, but it's still four-wheel drive. I'm gonna put it in the same rank though. Moving on is the Continental GT. I think this is like the numero 9. Once again, same rank once again. All these Bentleys are bad, but they're not like so horrendous, which I have to rank them down in like Ulcer level. But they're not good. Like they're definitely not the top 2 rank. But at the end of the day, you know, a legendary is a legendary. The Continental GT V8 is also going to be in the same rank under frequent provider. Moving on is the Bentley Continental Super Sports. Now this one, I'm actually going to give it to Kaiser as well, because once again, they're both identical cars, the Super Sport and the 24. It's just that the Continental Super Sports has slightly better MRA, like by 0.03. They're both in the 90s. It goes down to like 90.31 to 90.33, something like that. Very, very minute. But one thing to take note is that the Continental is better. by the tiniest of margins to the Continental 24. Moving on, Bentley Flying Spur. Oh, this is gonna cause controversy. I think it's a daily driver. A lot of people think it's hot garbage, and I understand why you would think that. The handling is weak. The 0 to 60 is, relatively low, to be fair, for a saloon that's medium, but it has no MRA. But why I'm putting it as daily driver is because it's kind of like the Italian Maserati Quattroporte with standard tires. It's the only car in its niche. It's the only British saloon, or the only GE saloon with medium ground clearance. So there's nothing that can compete with this, and because of that, it's daily driver, because, it's just going to win. Next one, the BMW 640i xDrive. Oh, that is a pernicious ulcer. I'm sorry. Once again, like the Bentegas, they lose to epics, multiple epics. I cannot give this thing any higher rank than the pernicious ulcer, and it's just crazy. Hutch is actually evil sometimes, because this car is so useful in the final, and I've actually put in 2 upgrades into this. I've used 6 of my epics to put in one of the worst legendaries in the game. Yeah, I know. I was prepared for it, kind of, though. BMW M5s, both of them are gonna get their Kaiser. They're both four-wheel drive. They both handle well. They both have low 0 to 60s, and they both have decent MRAs in the 80s. The BMW M60, I think it is M80i xDrive is going to go under daily driver. Just doesn't handle very well, and the MRA isn't very strong either. And the BMW X5 and the X6M. The X5M is going to be a daily driver, and the X6M is going to be Der Kaiser. So this is my final list. My verdict. Should you open it? No. If you're not going for the prize car, don't. It's not a good pack. There are some bangers, to be fair, like the M3 CS and the M5 competition and the BMW M5. Hey, guess what? You know what they all have in common besides BMW? They're all from 2018. So if you want just those cars, just open a 2018 pack, okay? This pack is not good. It's not good to open. It's not the worst pack that we've gotten, to be fair, but look at all of this. Look at all of this. It is not good. But anyway, let's move on to the next tier list where I talk about just the final. All right, y'all, so here's the tier list exclusively for the final. So basically, prize car winning, possible prize car winning, uncertain, very unlikely, and you need Jesus. Or Kanye, because I've heard of Kanye. So, prize car winning. These are the absolute best cars to make the best hands. Now, as you can see, usually I like to put 5 cars, but it's a little bit more confusing in this final because the RQ limit is relatively low. Actually, not relatively. For a final, a Tri-Series final, the RQ limit is low. So you can't just run 5 legendary M5s per se. You kind of need to fit in an Epic or even an Ultra Rare in some cases. So because of that, I'm actually bumping the M760 Li from possible prize car winning to prize car winning, because chances are you're probably using this car to save RQ. And it's the same thing for some of the RQs here. I have cars like the BMW M6 and the BMW X6. Both of these cars are relatively low in Epic RQ. The only reason why they're higher is because what I'm trying to say is that the X6 and the M6, in terms of their statistics alone, they belong in uncertain, and the M760 belongs in possible prize car winning. But because the RQ limit for this Tri-Series is lower than it usually is, you are going to find yourself using lower RQ cars for the 5th card. So that's why some of these cars, I would say, are the better cars to use to save RQ, if that makes sense. So let me get off with the really easy stuff. The BMW 640i xDrive is the best car if you have it maxed for the City Streets medium. There is no car that will beat it. If you max it out, it is the best car for the medium. And I think it's evil because there is a City Streets medium in every track set in this final. Hutch wants you to max this car. And I'm obliging to it, honestly. I do want this price card, to be fair, and I'll try to get it. The Bentley Continental Super Sports is the best card for any of the longer drags, so the 1 mile or the 30 to 130. It will beat the BMW M5 because of the better MRA that it brings to the table. But the BMW M5 and the M5 competition, they're better cars for the Tokyo tracks, like Tokyo off-ramp, and what are the other track sets? I mean, there's a 0 to 120, I think there's a quarter mile and a half mile. Those are cars that you can definitely use because they have low 0 to 60s. The BMW M760 Li is the best epic car available in the final for the city streets, it will actually be the Bentley Mulsanne. Not the Bentley Mulsanne, sorry, the Bentley Flying Spur W12S, which is RQ79. So this BMW is actually better than this Flying Spur in the city streets. Yeah, that's why. And yeah, the Continental's 24, once again, it's just a slightly worse version of the Super Sports, but they're still very, very good cars. The BMW X6M as well, if you can max it out, it is the best legendary to use for city streets small. So the best for city streets medium is the 640i. The best for city streets small is going to be the X6M. But we're talking about maxed legendaries over here, which are going to be pretty rare, hopefully, in my case, because I think I am actually going to be maxing my BMW 640i. Oh, God help me. Possible prize car winning, though. We have some pretty strong ones. The X5M is like a slightly worse version of the X6M, so very, very strong. The Bentley Flying Spur is a slightly worse version of the 640i. The Bentley Flying Spur W12S is a slightly worse version of the, Bmw M760 Li. The Bmw X3 M40i and the Bmw 750i are basically worse versions of the Bmw M5s. Also worse versions of the Bentley Continental Speed Coupe. I'm actually tempted to bring the Speed Coupe up. I won't though, because although the Speed Coupe is better than these two, they don't really run on the same tracks, because these two you want to put on the medium, the Continental you cannot. The M3 CS is the best car that you can use, and the best car in terms of bargain with RQ and how expensive it is to max it for the dry track sets that you get half the time in the Tri-Series, and these two are for, RQ saving purposes. And it's the same thing here. The three Ultra Rares I put at the bottom, these are only because they're good for like saving RQ. I've seen a lot of hands where people are running like 4 high RQ legendaries, so like M5, M5 competition, Continental, maybe even 2 M5s, so 3 M5s, sorry, so 2 M5s, 1 M5 competition, so M15 I guess, and 1 Continental, and then they have like no RQ left and they have to use an Ultra Rare. If you end up having to use an Ultra Rare because you have 4 legendaries, high RQ legendaries, then these are the 3 to use, I would say. These 2 for the medium, this one for the low. But yeah, these are the rest of the uncertain cars that you can use in your hand, like unironically if you want to. I don't think they're gonna win you the prize car though, to be honest. Maybe you can get by with 1. I see a lot of people getting by with the Flying Spur. Some people are getting by with the M3 CSL. It's really down to what are the strongest cars that you have, and if you can back up the cars that you're using in the uncertain range, in my opinion. Moving on to very unlikely. Honestly, if you are using a hand with a majority of these cars, you're not winning the prize car. You're probably not even going to win tier 3. You're probably not even going to win tier 4, honestly. These cars are pretty bad. And then last but not least, you need Jesus. I'm sorry, if you have any combinations of any one of these cars, you're done. Even if you have 4 really strong legendaries and you're using one of these cars from here, you're still kind of done, because you're still going to get targeted. There are a lot of crazy hands in this final. I've joined already. I've joined for over a day, and my bracket is freaking tough. I've already spent 15 epic fuses, and I'm probably going to have to spend more. But this prize car seems to be worth it, and also I haven't competed in a Tri-Series for a long time, so I've had a lot of fuse material lying around. I might as well just spend it. But anyway, that's going to be it. Pretty long video, but it was a very big pack to review. Also a very complex final. Feels good to be back, even though I was only gone for 12 hours. My account was only down for 12 hours, but I've basically been awake for the last 48 hours with like a 2-hour nap in between. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna go crash now. Go be safe. Please take care of your technological accounts. I thought mine was safe on. I had 2-factor authentication on, and they still managed to get, I don't know how. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and it's just good to be back. Blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night, when I'll hold your perfect hand and and take you out just for a ride. We'll share milkshakes at the diner and rebel at every hour. We can watch a drive-in movie, then have romance in the shower.